Hello, Beach Channel. I'm Max Weiler, and you're watching Bald Guys Finance. Scott, we're back.
We're back, Max.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but something's happening.
People are watching, and it's not for hair advice.
Or clothes.
Yeah. Well, did you know that I'm a star? Well, I guess you're a star too. Somebody at the gym asked to take a picture with me.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and they're pointing at me. And because of our show, they want to take a picture with me. Isn't that odd?
No, it's not surprising, Max. I've had a couple people comment about, real life experiences as a result of what they saw on our podcast. One gentleman's daughter made a decision to not buy a new car, keep her old car, save the money, and he pictured out in 3 or 4 years what that money could look like, and that really was made me feel good.
Good girl.
Yeah.
She did good on that.
Yeah.
And this kid told me he opened up an E-Trade account. Didn't cost anything. He put $500 in there. Good start, right?
That's great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're making a difference.
You think?
I think so. I hope so.
Well, we're having fun trying to figure it out. And besides that, our advice is good because...
We're not charging for it.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
We don't charge
Free
1
advice.
point, 2 points. We don't have a fee, and we're not selling anything.
No, we don't have a
At least
product.
not yet. All right.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about something that's near and dear to your heart and where a big portion of your portfolio is, buying real estate. The best way to buy real estate. You got any opinions on that?
Well, it depends. If you have money, that's one story. If you don't have money, that's another story. If you're starting out and you don't have money, you have to find a way to get in the game. And there's several ways. People think, "Oh, I can't buy real estate. I only have $10,000." Well, do you have family members? Do you have a rich uncle? Do you have...
No, and no.
Okay. Do you have a good deal? Because if you have a good deal, the money will come. If you have a deal that's going to produce and it's recognizable from the beginning that, hey, this is, this young person has under contract something that's very attractive, the money will come.
Well, I think when I read about this segment and wanted to do this, I said, let me recap all the conversations what I've had with Scott for over 30 years. And all these key words come up. So ugly houses, ugly buildings. What's that mean?
Usually that's a distress sale. Usually that's someone looking to, buy something at the courthouse steps, buy from...
But you like ugly buildings.
Ugly buildings are good. Yeah, they're good. They're usually fix and flip candidates. They're usually value add candidates. You buy it, you throw some money into it, and then you resell it. But that's a whole separate business. What I've done mostly, Max, has been buy and hold. I'm not a fix or flipper.
Right. But the ugly buildings too, it's all about the balance sheet and their cash flow, right? It's not about what they look like. A trophy property has better cash flow or no?
Well, if you were to say you got like an ugly dog or a trophy property, let's say to define the two categories, the ugly property is probably going to have a higher cash flow. The trophy property is probably going to have higher appreciation. So you have to ask yourself, what am I investing for? If you invest in a trophy property, your cash flow won't be as much. Your cap rate, your return on your investment from a cash flow standpoint will not be as high as an ugly property. Let's say you could buy in a distressed area that needs work. That property is going to yield you a higher cash flow.
What about an ugly building in a good area?
That's a winner. That's a winner. That's a winner because you turn it pretty, But the thing there, Max, is what happens is the trophy properties will probably appreciate at a higher rate. And like markets like Coral Gables or Coconut Grove or Pinecrest, those are more, let's say, trophy areas. So if you're buying, let's say, a single family home as an investment in Coral Gables, you're going to get, if you make any money, it's going to be low single digits, meaning your cash on cash return is going to be 0 to 4%.
Right.
And a lot of investors say, oh, I would never buy that deal. I would never buy a single family home in one of those markets and break even.
Right.
Well, if the property appreciates 7 to 15% a year, that's a pretty good return. Now you're not getting the cash flow, but you're getting the appreciation, and the appreciation is compounding. So you wake up 3 to 5 years later, and now the property you paid $1 million for is worth, $1.8 million. you're looking pretty smart.
This is new Scott talk, though. I remember old Scott talk. Scott wanted cash return, and all that appreciation. That was great, but cash return, no or yes? New market?
I think it depends on where you are in your life, where you are in your financial cycle. If you can afford to not have cash flow, meaning you have your business, you have other investments, and you can afford to buy a property that, let's just say, breaks even, but you know it's going to appreciate, sometimes those can be the best investments.
Yeah.
When you're starting out and you don't have money and you need money coming in every month to meet or exceed your monthly expenses, you have to invest in cash flow properties.
Right. Well, I mean, let's talk residential first. We'll go back to the commercial in a little bit. So residential, I hear all the whining right now. You hear it too. Everything's so expensive. Everything's so expensive. My experience over the years, that's always been the case, but you got to look for bargains, and there's always bargains. Doesn't matter what the market is. And the first way to get a good bargain is get a good, strong realtor. And I use your wife for that thing because she'll go and make it happen. And I'll start targeting houses. I haven't done this for a while, but when I did, after I got divorced, made the mistake, what we talked about, picking the right partner, different show, and started just pick 6, 8, 10 houses, what I liked, and started making offers. And you go and you might find that distressed situation, which always happens, no?
Well, we have something in common. I also use my wife for buying residential property, and she's very good. And
very good.
I think, Max, it's important, and you want someone that knows the market. You want to know. There's a lot that goes into a sales process. Buying a house is scary. Most people shy away from it, particularly young people, particularly people who've never done it before. On the other side, some people think this is easy and, I gotta, there's a commission and, I can get around not paying a commission and go direct. There's a lot to a residential real estate transaction, negotiating what is the right price. You got Zillow out there that'll give you a number and,
right.
Candidly, Zillow is incorrect a lot of the times, and it's either too high or too low. And so you want someone who knows the market, but what does that mean? It means knowing, the street, the house, the layout,
and the problems. Every piece of real estate I've ever purchased with you or anything else, there's always something. Is there always something?
There's at least 15 things that can go wrong in a residential real estate transaction. Mm-hmm. And navigating through those 15 things is where a good realtor will assist you. What does that mean? Negotiating the purchase price, understanding if this is a distressed situation, if the people need to sell, are there other offers? Are you making a cash offer versus a financing offer? How do you compare to the other people that are making offers?
Right.
What's your relationship with the broker, let's say, that has the house for sale? Do they like you? Do they not like you? Can you read that person and move towards making a deal on that property? Then once you get it under contract, you have all the inspections.
Right.
And there, 15 to 20 things can go wrong, and you have to navigate through each one of those things
right.
To get to the end. So I advise using someone that's a specialist in the residential space.
Yeah, and that means they've sold a few houses. These people who have one house a year or something and don't know a neighborhood very well, those aren't for me. So, but as far as I always say human tragedy, everybody looks at me like I'm robbing the grave or something, but human tragedy is a lot of things. And there's companies out there, these We Buy Ugly Houses guys, mm-hmm. They make a fortune buying human tragedy, right?
They do. Yeah, they have a business model that's centered around taking advantage of a distressed situation. And what they'll do is, they'll advertise all
Might not be taken advantage of. They're helping someone out of a distressed situation too, right?
I like the way you think, Max.
Yeah, I like it. That's the way I look when I'm buying it from somebody like that.
Yeah. Well, there's, they have good business plans. I mean, they're usually in and out of the transaction. A lot of times what they'll do is find a distressed situation, get control of
What's distress mean in that situation?
Oh, it could be a death. It could be a divorce. It could be a bankruptcy.
Roof's bad. Taxes.
Yeah, they could have a lien on the property.
They got to move.
They may have to move. There could have been a fire. There, could all kinds of things. But mm-hmm. It's really where there's pressure financially coming from somewhere. And so when those situations come, people look at the asset that they have and, they need to move it. And
Right.
then, they need to move it and get out quickly and get the money to pay for whatever pressure is coming at them.
So from a buyer standpoint, you got to kind of be open a little bit. You can't fall in love with a house or something. Like I mentioned my strategy, I would go and pick 5 or 6 houses. I'm more a neighborhood guy, and the house, 4 bedrooms, that's good.
I'm like you, Max. I get emotionally involved. I fall in love with an asset, and I'm probably an overpayer. And that's why, like you mentioned, Belinda's really good because it's all business. This is the price. This is what we're willing to pay. We're willing to walk away. And you need to be willing to walk away.
And she presents well. A lot of realtors present that, especially, what do they call it? Buyer's agents? When she's doing that for me, buyer's agent. When she's doing that for me, I look at what it's worth to me.
I remember when you were looking at that, she said, Scott, Max needs to leave the property because you were giving off buy signs, like you fell in love with it. And I think some drool was coming out.
No, not at all.
Yeah, there was drool
I just
coming
needed
out.
a place to.
What, you just
I
had-
was looking for a place that I could afford at that
Did you
time
have-
since
did you have-
since
So
I
you
was
had a
starting
cold
over.
or something? Is that what
No,
was
I was
happening?
starting over.
But she said
and
you were drooling in front of the seller, and the seller was picking up on that.
quite the
and she said,
opposite.
"Max."
There was like 4 or 5 sellers, and we were trying to get the attention of, and we found one who had to move.
Yeah.
And
No,
they
that's
had to
good.
move. And they were in such a situation, they were maintaining a house in Chicago at the same time as this house. And it was just too much for them. So put in an offer. They got insulted by the offer. But because Belinda's so good at what she does, she goes, this is the offer. And it's not going anywhere else. You can take it, or you can continue paying this mortgage and paying for the house in Chicago and sitting down here and waiting and waiting. And it went through.
Were you embarrassed when she threw a number out that you wanted to offer?
No, not at all.
Well, that's good.
I mean, I've dealt with other realtors, or I hear other people saying, oh, well, my realtor won't present that price. What do you mean? If it's based on what it's worth to you, that's the price.
That's what we encourage. People will get offended when you submit an offer, and we always encourage them to counter. They made an offer, let's make a counter offer. It's just business. And when you take the emotion out, you take the personalities out, at the end of the day, it's a transaction, and it's either going to move forward or it's not.
Yeah. And there's other areas. These youngsters, anybody under 35 now trying to get into the market and following your advice, there's other ways besides just traditional financing or something else. There's owner financing on some of these things. My advice is don't, especially on a first house or something, fall in love with a neighborhood, not with a house.
Right.
But that's hard. Well, I mean, I don't want to be chauvinist or whatever, but it's hard to get your wife to fall in love with a bad kitchen or a bad bathroom or something else. But you can always fix those up.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, particularly in the good areas and in the ones we mentioned earlier. But like owner financing is a really good vehicle for first-time buyers to get in the game, because a lot of people may not qualify. They may not have, the history in the market. They may not have had a job for 10 years with a proven credit score. And so if they can get somebody as an owner, like let's say on an investment property, to hold a mortgage, it's very beneficial because they don't have to go through the bank. They're going to be paying sometimes interest only, which instead of having a amortization schedule and paying part of your principal, it keeps your monthly payment lower. And it's easier to transact because you're not subject to all the rules, qualifications, and regulations of the lender.
That other guy we talk about all the time, he wouldn't like that interest only thing.
Yeah.
He really wouldn't like the mortgage, but I don't know how you buy these things without a mortgage, but he's magical on those things.
Yeah.
Well, I think that covers, I mean, the residential, you got to have a good broker or agent.
Broker,
people interchange that. What's the
they do.
difference in them?
A broker is the one who has the real estate brokerage license,
Mm-hmm.
and they run and control, the company, the books, and they have the liability. An agent is a realtor or a real estate agent working for that broker, and they don't take on as much liability in the practice of real estate as the broker does.
Yeah, she'd probably get mad at me, and I don't know if it's age or just experience and knowledge, but she pretty much knows every house in Coral Gables and what's going on with them, and if the kitchen's good or bad or something else. And that's the kind of agent you want, right?
Yeah. She has a photographic memory, and it amazes me. She'll be on a phone call with someone and they'll mention an address, and sometimes she sold that house 2 and 3 times. And, she's very good at that. She knows where a lot of the the damage and the troubles are in houses and neighborhoods, and she can read it, but she does a lot of it just off the cuff, which is amazing to me.
So let's recap the residential portion and then move over to the industrial. So recap, my opinion, you need a good agent. Mm-hmm. I think if you really, like right now, the youngsters should follow your opinion, buy as big a house as you can get in a good neighborhood, right? Go in as deep as possible.
I think so.
And for me, if you're looking for a deal, and I think there's always deals out there, I don't care how hot the market is. If you're not too falling in love with the house, or you can take ugly something and work on fixing, especially if you're handy, fix it up and do that kind of stuff. There are deals out there. You have to be patient and persistent. 2 P's, patient and persistent.
That's good. Yeah, and to that point, Max, right? Let's say now in Coral Gables, one way to make money in Coral Gables in the residential real estate market right now is to do what you said, to add value either by increasing the size of the house, fixing it up. Pricing per square foot has become very high, but what's happened is you can build for less than the price per square foot that you could sell for. So there's an avenue for profit by doing exactly what you're saying, either buying something to fix up or buying something that you're going to either knock it down, build a new house, or buying a house and adding on, because your construction costs today are less than the sales price on a per square foot basis.
Well, you see that, I mean, it's pretty much all the way down. You go Coral Gables, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, you see a lot of construction in all those areas now because of that, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so commercial property. That's one what you and I have gone together on. And a banker would consider what we bought initially an ugly building, right? It was empty. Bankers don't like empty buildings.
No, they don't.
Yeah. And it's harder to get financing on empty buildings, no cash flow on it.
Yes.
So we go tromping into this empty building. First off, I mean, your expertise came through. There was a lot of negotiating going on. It was a company out of Pennsylvania or something that owned the buildings.
Right.
And you made that happen. I remember the conversations. We were trying to figure out cash flow things and all that. And you were worried about one tenant. Which tenant was that? Accord Productions?
Accord Productions. Yeah. I must not have been that worried. I would have remembered.
Yes. I don't remember you asking for a credit history on us, but you were worried about that one. But so fast forward, and as far as industrial property, I mean, we bought right because of your
this is a
experience
commercial
and all that.
property. This is not an industrial property.
Oh,
it's a
commercial.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
right.
commercial property, and commercial properties are offices, retail centers, apartment complexes.
You've done very well on commercial properties, though. You just had a warehouse where you had for years and years. And you did something you never do. You sold.
Right, right. Yeah, we sold 3 warehouses, about 90,000 square feet out in West Dade, Doral Market, Medley Market. We had one building in Medley.
You bought that so long ago. There was a bakery out there, wasn't there? Was it Wholesome Bakery out
Wholesome
there?
was out there, yeah. Oh, I mean, when I started working out there, Max, the traffic and the development didn't go past the 87th Avenue. And, now it's out to the Everglades. And so that market has been great. And we were, lucky to start in that area and watch the growth. And it got to the point where the rents for these buildings equated to the amount per square foot that we actually paid for some of the buildings. That's how, it was, our return on that was like 814%.
You were right on all that, but you were wrong about one thing. You said you would never sell. You were wrong.
Yeah, well, I sell. I'm the person who I used to buy from. As I've gotten older, I would always look for someone who was tired, didn't want to handle the tenant calling you on New Year's Eve and saying my toilet's leaking. So I basically became one of those people. And I got to the point where I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to, ring the bell, have a good sale. And what we did was we held a mortgage. We held a purchase money mortgage
right.
for the 3 properties. And what that does is it makes it easier for the buyer to buy the property. It also defers capital gains tax for us because we're not collecting all the money on the sale up front. So we're able to defer it until the mortgage is paid off.
Right.
And that's an advantageous position for us. In this case, we're deferring our capital gains for about 12 years.
Right.
And I can get into the weeds with you if you want, but there's creative structure.
We're not a CPA show.
There's creative structures for doing it, but purchase money. If you can find somebody who has no debt on their property,
right,
and they're willing to hold a mortgage, it's usually very good for the buyer and it's very good for the seller.
And in that situation, that property, if the buyer went bad, you wouldn't mind taking it back, would you?
Exactly. And in this case, the buyer is going to be putting in several $100,000 to fix the properties up. That's one of the other reasons I didn't want to go through that, maintenance issue of throwing more money at the building. So they're going to do all that, which makes my mortgage more secure.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this situation, you're good all the way around. They keep paying. You're getting a good return. You're selling the property. If they don't pay, they had a big downstroke, and you'll just take the property back and continue doing what you're doing and improve property.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty
cool. And what they call that, Max, in our industry is mailbox money. Mailbox money is money where, every month you get a check. And, we did one of these with CVS. We did a CVS drugstore. Yeah. And they've been a tenant for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And they pay one check, 1 month, every month. And they never miss.
I hope it's FedEx. The mailbox has been very unreliable for me.
I think it's regular mailbox.
Okay, you better be careful on that one. One last thing. I know we're running over or whatever else, but we got to finish the commercial property that we own together. Yeah. So what we did over the years was we created a creative theme, which adds value. Mm-hmm. We've pretty much been 100% for the last. We had a little bump during COVID where we lost a couple people who catered to the creative community on the cruise ship side, but it's pretty much 100% the last 10 years.
Yeah,
because of that theme.
Well, that's all you, Max, and I'm dead serious about that. I mean, that was an organic strategy that I want to say just happened, but I know that's not what happened. You made it happen. But what we did was you and I bought 2 buildings, 41,000 square feet right here on US 1. You moved your business in for your own production and your own business. But then what happened was you created through monthly card games,
wine events and all that. Those I like.
Where I've never won. I mean, I've lost a lot of money.
You haven't come lately.
I've lost. That's why I don't come. I lose.
Lose in the events.
But you've created an environment which is conducive to the creative businesses in Miami-Dade County. We have a great location. Our building is not, a trophy building, but it's become a hub for the creative industry, the writers, the creators, the producers, the podcasters. And what happens is you've created a critical mass of these types of industries.
Did you know we had an Academy Award winning director here the last 2 months? I'm not allowed to say who it is because of NDA, but you would know him as he's up there taking the trophy or whatever else. And you've seen his movies and all that. Yeah. So, but in the themes, it's not just a creative theme. There's medical themes. Doctors, those buildings are great because doctors never move, right?
Absolutely. The occupiers of commercial space that are in the medical business are great tenants. There's usually an upfront cost that you pay because there's a lot of infrastructure, plumbing, electrical. Someone may want to put an imaging machine in there. But once a medical user is in your building, they typically will never leave. And you see people like Baptist and Mercy Hospital, all these outpatient surgical centers. But if you have a medical building, once a doctor or dentist, eye surgeon moves into your building, you can almost book that for 20 years because they rarely grow and they rarely shrink. So they're great tenants to have. Now it's more expensive to get them in the building because of the infrastructure and the tenant improvements. But it's worth it because over the long term, you're going to get paid off multiple times.
Because once they're in, and then you don't have to go chase them around all the time. And your daughter's been very good at helping with the creative. She's embraced the whole creative concept here and brought in some very good tenants to get in line, as it turns out now. We have 4 or 5 people waiting to come in, which is a good problem to have when you own property, right?
It is. And, to your point, our building here, 6, 7 years ago, the market was not as active as it is today. And I think the creative nature of creating a hub for this type of industry, for the creative marketing, that really helped us through some hard times because a lot of other buildings suffered. And I think people want to be in and around like-kind industries. It helps them. There's synergies.
Yeah, and we got lots of parking here. That's a
We have
plus
lots
in
of
the
parking.
Coconut
Yeah,
Grove. So.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's covered. I mean, we went through the real estate, buying ugly properties, don't fall in love with them, use a good real estate agent. Your
Financing, yeah. I mean, if you can get a purchase money mortgage so you find somebody who's willing to finance you,
Yeah.
that's good. If you have a rich uncle who's willing to co-sign a note, let's say you can't qualify for a property, to ask your family members, maybe they'll help you,
Right.
to get in the game in the beginning. Those are ways for
Get
young
in the
people.
game. That's the big thing.
Yeah,
You tell the younger people, get in the game.
get in the game. The first property is always the hardest. It's the scariest.
Mm-hmm.
You've never done it before, but once you do one, then it becomes more comfortable to do the next one. But you got to get in the game, Max.
Yeah. So we missed out on our wardrobe
yeah.
recall here, man. You're styling today with your shoes.
Yeah.
What the heck?
$9.99 at Men's Warehouse. They were giving them away. I guess nobody wanted them.
So no, I think a rapper when he goes out on the boat or something
well,
would wear
hey,
those, right?
hey,
Those
they-
look pretty cool.
They work for me.
And my friends at Magic City Casino gave me a highlight shirt. Thank you, Scott. Another Scott Savin over at Magic City.
All right.
Gave me, and that we love free, right? Free
That's
is good.
That's good.
Yep.
Well, next time get two, Max. You had a free shirt last week, and now you got a new free shirt. I'm not,
I think I'm going to go through a whole. I mean, if we keep going, I'll have a whole bunch of free shirts.
I work for shirts.
You work for shirts. So Beat Channel, that's all about, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like the video, follow the channel, and leave a comment. Scott loves